Welcome back to Zach's shop. My name is Zach and I am surrounded by this shop right here. And in this video, we're going to be testing the brand new Hyper Tough brushless angle grinder. Fresh out on the market, we're going to compare this angle grinder with a brushless Ryobi, a brushless Hart, and the old version of this grinder, which was brushed. I assume that one's going to be our loser, but we will find out here today. We have one fast charger, thank goodness. I love that these have some of the fast chargers in them. That's great news. One grinder and piece of cardboard. One 4-amp-hour battery. Let's see how charged this one is. Hyper Tough always charges their stuff, it seems like. 3 out of 4. One average handle and one spanner wrench that is slightly better than the average spanner wrench you get in these kits typically, because it even has this little thing on the end. And that little thing on the end makes it slightly better. And it fits nicely into the handle. Not that I'd ever leave it there. And we have one premium metal grinding wheel. I added the premium part. The new brushless Hyper Tough will be going up against this Ryobi 1+ HP brushless model, the Hart brushless model, and good old faithful original Hyper Tough, our guaranteed favorite to lose. The brushed Hyper Tough is 10 3/4 inches long, and we're measuring to right here, not counting the blade. The Ryobi is right at 11.5 inches long. The brushless Hyper Tough is right at 12 inches long. The brushless Hart is right at 13 3/4 inches long. Some of that can be attributed to the way that the battery is mounted on this product. It's not turned upwards like some of the other ones. The battery mount's actually at a slant going back, and that'll kind of explain some of the length that's added to the Hart. As far as handle positioning, the Hart has 1, 2, 3 different places to mount the handle. The brushed Hyper Tough had 3 different places to mount the handle. The Ryobi has the same 3 places to mount the handle. The brushless Hart also has the same 3 locations. I almost expected one of these to have 2, because some of them do only have the 2 on the side, but all these are equal in that they have 3 different places. The brushed and brushless Hyper Toughs both have slide switch starts that lock into position. Both the Ryobi and the Hart have paddle switches that you operate by pushing the small switch forward, then pulling the trigger. They do not lock in position. In 3 out of the 4 grinders, which is these 3 excluding the Ryobi, you use the spanner wrench to remove this fitting to put your blades on. In the case of the Ryobi, there's a flip-up handle that you can use to take that particular fitting off to put blades on. The Ryobi also has 2 terminals in the back, not counting the battery terminals on the inside, that interface with high-performance batteries to get the most out of this tool. And I will be using high-performance batteries with the Ryobi. The weight of the Hyper Tough brushless, including handle and stored wrench, is 3.4 pounds or 1.55 kilograms. The weight of the old brushed model is 3.2 pounds or 1.45 kilograms. The weight of the Ryobi model is 4 pounds or 1.85 kilograms. The weight of the Hart model is 4.1 pounds or 1.85 kilograms. Just for reference, the Ryobi battery is 0.7 kilograms or 1.6 pounds. The Hart battery is 1.4 pounds or 0.65 kilograms. And a reminder that this is the older model Hart battery that I'm still using. And the Hyper Tough battery is 0.6 kilograms or 1.5 pounds. The weight of a grinder is important because the longer you work, the harder it is on your arm having to hold up the grinder. The Hart is the heaviest at 4.1 pounds, followed by the Ryobi at 4 pounds. The Hyper Tough Brushless is 3.4 pounds, and the Hyper Tough Brushed is also 3.4 pounds. In the next test, I'm going to use my apparatus right here and strap, with those straps, the grinders to this particular apparatus. And then when I put some weight on the end, what are you doing talking during my video? You're making a video of my video? I put weight on these chains on the end. It's connected to these cables. So when I let go of the saw, it pulls it into my rebar. And we see how quickly it can cut this rebar. I'll be doing 5 pounds, 7.5 pounds, and 10 pounds to see if each one of the grinders can possibly do it. Here's a hint, one of them can't. Seven and a half pounds. The Hyper Tough Brushed cannot handle 10 pounds of weight. Of weight. Hart seemed like it did pretty good. Hyper Tough Brushless, first run with 5 pounds. Oh my gosh. So I took the 3 best cut times for each grinder, no matter what weight it was on. First place was the Ryobi at 3.7 seconds, followed closely by Hart at 4 seconds. The Hyper Tough Brushless wasn't too far behind at 4.5 seconds, and the Hyper Tough Brushed was a little bit farther behind at 7.8 seconds. So the top 3 are pretty daggone close. Hyper Tough Brushed being a brushed and older model, of course it lagged behind. In the next test, we're going to see how quick each one of these grinders break, which is really important if you're doing a lot of work, because the longer you have to wait for it to unwind, turn it back on, or unwind before you can set it down, the longer it takes you to do everything, and it's just plain annoying. So I'm going to put them all 4 on the screen, and we're going to see which one goes the fastest. Nothing is more annoying than having a brake that's really, really slow, and unfortunately, the Hyper Tough Brushless brake is 5.7 seconds, which is much slower than everybody else here. The Ryobi's at 3.6, the Hart's at 3.3, and the Hyper Tough Brushed, one of the advantages of having the slowest RPM is being able to come to a stop the fastest at 2.1 seconds. In the next test, I'm going to place a large piece of metal. Oh, look, I've already done it. On top of the scale, I'm going to start grinding on this thing like this. I mean, I'm just kidding. In the next test, I'm going to place a grinding wheel on each one of the grinders. I have this piece of railroad track on top of my scale. We're going to see how much pressure I can put on this railroad track before each one of the grinders cut out. So we'll know how much pressure you'll be able to put on a workpiece before your grinder can't take it no more. And this one, I am guessing, will take the least. Each one of the batteries will be fully charged for this test. I'll give each grinder 5 tries, and we'll average out the 3 best. First up, we'll take the Hyper Tough Brushed. Now we have the Ryobi. Definitely takes more. Definitely more than the brushed. Next up is our brushless Hart. And last but not least, because the Hyper Tough brushed is already gone, the Hyper Tough brushless. And that's all 4 of our grinders, and I do believe the brush did actually lose.
So in our pressure test, it turns out that the Ryobi was the strongest grinder at an average of 31.6, followed by the Hart at 26.5, and the very affordable Hyper Tough brushless came in at 23.3, and the Hyper Tough brushed came in last, of course, at 19.1.
Now we're going to check our RPMs on our different grinders. And first up is our Ryobi 1 Plus HP. Next up is the Hart. Next up is our Hyper Tough brushless. And our last and most likely least is our brushed Hyper Tough. This thing feels like it's really slow whenever I'm using it. Let me just show you guys how it sounds. It just feels so slow. I'm gonna guess that it's like between 5,000 and 6,000 RPM. I don't know. You guys can internally guess, and then after it's done, you could say you knew the whole time whatever the actual score is. I don't want to brag, but I was right on the money there. I am probably the greatest guesser of all time.
So as far as tool RPM, the Ryobi is number 1 at 78.33, followed by the Hart at 76.66, the Hyper Tough brushless at 75.30, and the Hyper Tough brushed is lagging behind at 59.60.
Now I've got a bunch of these Job Smart flap discs that I got at Tractor Supply. We're going to take them outside my shop here, and we're going to have a little fun. And we're going to clean some paint off of some pallet boards and just give each grinder a chance to kind of go at it for a few minutes and see how they look. I've got this old ads here, and I need to clean it up. I've been meaning to clean it up for the last several years, probably, however long it's been here, halfway in the ground, halfway out of the ground. Just let's try to clean it up with these little flap discs while I'm at it. I may not include the Hyper Tough brush on account that it's slow, and we can all see that it's the worst. So may not need to include that one, but just to see what these little flap discs can do with these grinders when trying to clean up one of these old tools, because that's something I do on the regular. On the regular? Do I talk like that? Probably not. On a regular basis, this is something I do, so let's check it out. On the regular. I can't believe I actually said that. Well, because of my little flap wheel grinders, I now know that this is a 5-pound adze from, looks like India National, maybe India National, International, something like that. Never could even see that little sign before, but they clean up pretty quick. There's a lot of deep pitting on these things, so it's kind of hard to get them perfect unless you want to shave them down to where they're pretty thin. But they clean up nice. Maybe I'll spend a little bit more time on this one and take it to my shop, but just a little hint of what these little grinders can do with some of their activities.
Looking at our rank list for angle grinders, we have the HyperTough 2902.5.1, which seems like an IP address, but it's just a brushed angle grinder. We have the Hart HPAG25, or the HPAG, the HyperTough 80002, and the Ryobi PBLAG01. All of them are nominal 20-volt tools, and we're going to start with the weights. I assign a score for every angle grinder for each category, and at the end we'll see the total, we'll see which one is the best. So at the weight, 3.4 for both the HyperToughs. They both get the same score of 33. The Hart gets a slightly lower score at 29.5 because it's 4.1 pounds. The Ryobi comes in at 4, so it gets a score of 30. Moving on to the brake, this is the electric brake that stops that blade as soon as you pull off the trigger. The HyperTough brushed model was the fastest at 2.1. It gets a score of 39.5. The Hart was 3.3 seconds, so we get 33.5. The HyperTough BL model was 5.7, so it gets a 21.5. And the Ryobi was 3.6, so it gets a 32. Moving on to RPM, the brushed HyperTough was the slowest at 59.60. It gets a score of 29.8. The Hart 76.66 gets a score of 38.33. The HyperTough brushless model comes in at 75.30 RPM, giving it a score of 37.65. And the Ryobi comes in at the highest, 78.33, giving it a score of 39.165. Moving on to what I call the performance categories, we're going to start with the half-inch rebar cutting. The HyperTough brush model was the slowest at 7.8 seconds on average, giving it a score of 27.5. The Hart was 4 seconds on average, giving it a 75 score. You see the big difference there in performance. The HyperTough brushless model was at 4.5 seconds on average, which gave it a 68.75. Ryobi PBLA came in at 3.7 on average. The best score again for Ryobi at 78.75. The pressure test is another performance category. Basically, how much pressure can you put on this thing before it cuts out? Stronger grinder will put up more of a fight before it cuts out. The HyperTough brushed model is not the strongest grinder. It gave up at 19.1 pounds on average, giving it a score of 47.75. The Hart gave up at 26.5 pounds on average, giving it 66.25. The HyperTough brushless model was a little bit weaker than the Hart, 23.3 pounds on average at a 58.25 score, and the highest score was again Ryobi, 31.6 on average, significantly ahead of everybody else at a score of 79. Moving over to price, the HyperTough is going to make up some ground here. This score is actually subtracted from the total score. So the HyperTough brushed model was sold at $60. It's no longer sold, but that was its price. It gets a score of 10. The Hart The only price I could find, including the battery and charger, was $228, which is way overpriced to me, and you can do a better job of getting that at a lower price if you look for sales. But $228 really hurts the Hart, giving it a score of 38, and that's going to be subtracted from its total and really going to hurt it in the end. The HyperTough Brushless comes in at $65 for the fast charger, 4 amp hour battery, and the actual grinder. That's an excellent deal. And when you think about the value, it's hard to beat that. The Ryobi comes in at $200. That's according to Home Depot's website. Again, you can find these at lower prices on sale, but if you buy it at the standard price, that's what you're going to get, $200. That gives them a score of 33.3. So taking that into account and adding up all of our scores, we get the Ryobi on top at 225.582. Next up is the HyperTough, mainly because of that sweet price it's at 208.317. And that is the brushless HyperTough, not the brushed version. Oh no, it's dead last. You should have guessed it already. The Hart comes in at a lower score, mainly because of that price. It just hurt it so much. The Hart prices at Walmart, in my opinion, they're overpriced. A lot of it's overpriced at something where you can get Ryobi for a much better deal. A lot of the time, especially when they have so many sales at Home Depot, it's just hard to beat Ryobi, and it's hard to buy Hart because of that. Hart goes on sale too, but you have to be very, very patient. So the Hart comes in at 204.58 in third place. And now our fourth place and the last place here is the brushed HyperTough at 167.55. Not a very good deal at $60. They were good at clearance price, which is when I bought it. But at $60, it definitely wasn't a good deal, especially when you have the new one there, which does a ton better. HyperTough Brushless is just a great value. Not a workhorse, I don't think. Not every day. I'm going to use it here in the shop. Not a workhorse, probably. We'll put it to the test. But the Ryobi looks like a pretty good value too, and you can get it at a lower price a lot of the time. So it seems like a pretty good grinder. We'll do some more grinders coming up, and we'll have some more tools coming up. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. God bless you all, and I will see you on the next one. HyperTough brushed. HyperTough brushed. Yay, all right.